Hello, lovely people. Good morning or good afternoon from wherever you're listening in. This is Dalia Zaid, founder and managing director of FWD Consultancy. I'm happy to be with you yet on another Saturday morning. We've been doing these live LinkedIn. I hope you find them useful. So every Saturday at 11 a.m. Cairo time. I started these sessions April of this year. We covered an area of topics previously, innovation, social media, digital marketing. You have it. I think we covered a huge deck. Now, today's topic is a bit of a twist on the usual targeting and consumer segments. Some people might have thought that it's a sales pitch, how to sell, as in physically sell, or placement, or what to say to women. But I want to take a look at a deeper level, which is really the psyche. We all, as brand owners, want to grow. We want that hook for our consumers, but in many cases, we just do more of the same, or what shall I say, just imitate others or leaders of the category. But I think today we need to challenge our thinking, because not necessarily that the reader is doing the right thing. They might be big, but it's because they're big, they're all over the place. I mean, when is the last time somebody just sat down and said, hey guys, I'm going to disconnect for a couple of hours in my office because I'm thinking about our consumers, how to reach them in a better way, or a new segment, or whatever? Obviously not. This is usually done in workshops, and once you understand it very well, you win big. Also understand there is a whole lot of clutter out there. I'm not going to get into numbers, you do know, whether it's on TV, whether it's in digital, clutter in stores, whatever you're selling, it's a fact. So that's what really triggered this talk this morning. I want to give you some pointers from my experience across. This is like global learnings. It's not about a certain country or region. So just let's think of the things I'm going to throw at you. And of course, as many of you who have attended before, I speak for about 20-25 minutes and then open the floor for comments and questions or builds on that. So yeah. So I want to pick with a thought on stereotyping. Yeah. Um, I, I, I mean, many of you know that I've worked on chocolate so many years, but there are two brands that were very interesting. Flake and Yorkie, which is owned by Flake, obviously, owned by Mondelez, which is my ex-employer, and Yorkie is owned by a competitor, Nestle, and it's mainly you'll find it in the UK. So Yorkie is a very chunky eat. It's molded, and Nestle has positioned it against a male, men, young people, that sort of thing. Funny enough, when you looked at the analysis of the usership, it was mostly females. The funny thing is, Flake is on the other side, is about indulgence. It's very much anchored into women, me moment. And guess what? I wouldn't say majority, I don't want to generalize here, but this is UK data, by the way, that a bulk of users are males. Okay, so all what we were thinking about the product and eat experience would link up to the gender. That was completely wrong. It was really BS. Yeah, and that was a huge learning, and I'm talking about multinationals here. So again, my advice would always be, think of your customer in context. So let's say you are in kitchen design, whether the physical kitchen or the utensils that you use in the kitchen, or appliances. Why do you think some brands are now looking into colors? And this is just the beginning. Because women who, use the kitchen, this is their kingdom. In fact, some women would say, this is my sanctuary. This is the place where nobody is bugging me. I can put on my music. I can cook, whether she likes cooking or not, but she spends a lot of time there. Yeah? So I need a place that is beautiful. Uh, the what is it called? I don't remember the name now, but that thing that you put the soap on, okay? Or if it's liquid soap, I want to look at something beautiful. Maybe it has lovely colors and flowers. Why it should be boring, you know? Um, one piece of info, and I think this is probably one of the brands that really cracked that, is IKEA. Did you know that 20% of the sales of IKEA comes impulse, and it is about accessories? So here I am, I'm going to IKEA, I'm looking for a chair and I'm looking for a storage unit. So I'm not going to buy something that is hugely big. But then I go out of the store and I look at my shopping cart, and I find that 20% of what I bought was not on the list. And it's mostly all of these, little things like, printed towels, scented candles. I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this because I've been doing this a lot, and they are very smart, and you reflect that in the way they have designed their stores. It's always at the end, and it's always, fancy looking. It's always set up in the context of where you're going to put that. Okay, it's not just junk. Yeah, so they are relating to that female shopper. uh, so she sees the displays, she has a vision in her brain of how that will fit in her kitchen or living room, how she will feel about that experience. So, context is extremely important when you look at that, when you design the product, not only communicating it or placing it in store. I had a client, a local one in Egypt. They're the leading brand, a heritage brand in coolers. So those coolers that you put at home or an office. um, One of the insights that were coming out that it's usually like black or white or gray, and they hide it behind the door, the apartment door. They just hide it there, and it's always located there. And I mean, I think, at the time when I advised this was like 4 years back or so. I think I was as a bit too progressive for them. They didn't really pick up what I was trying to say. I said, how about putting that in the living room? I mean, if you have space, of course. But then this is something you drink water all the time, you and your kids. So if you want to increase consumption, make it handy. But then again, it's so ugly designed. Okay, I would not putting it in my living room. But how about thinking of it as an extension of the way you design your living room? I think that was, yeah, that was a bit too much for them, so they didn't go for it, obviously. But then again, think of an actual launch of that idea. That would be Samsung TV globally. I can't recall the name of the series, but it was popular like 2 years back, where once you put off the monitor, it changes into a piece of art, the famous paintings, or maybe, if it's in your kid's room, that would be, Muhammad Salah, for example, their favorite heroes. I mean, I don't know how old you are as audience today, but I recall as a teenager having posters of my favorite stars hanging, sticking. Actually, it's not hanging. I was like, my room was like sticky all over the place, and my parents would hate me because I I ruined the walls. But yeah, I want my favorite heroes hang there. So fast forward many, many years, kids want a monitor, a small TV in their room. Samsung got it for you. Yeah, and once you put it off, it changes into your favorite character or celebrity or whatever. So it's about integrating in consumers' lives. Yeah. And think about how many categories women are the decision makers or influencers. And I think this is one of the breakthrough insights today because the construct of family has changed. Uh, Being single is very, very mainstream, whether it's single as in never got married or single as in divorced. And a bunch of these women have their own money. So would they want an air conditioning, an AC? Absolutely. But historically, this is one of the items that used to be a very male driven decision. Yeah. Today it's not. Yeah. And one of the things that you need to be aware of also that women by nature are very articulate. They're very expressive and they look into details. So what is happening is we're finding a shift, whether at a decision maker level or influencer level. And think of all the other categories that historically were just driven by men, like car, health insurance, what else? Apartments, real estate. I mean, they could buy their own apartment or summer house, not just influence where is the location or how many square meters, or, the neighbors, or something like that. The other thing which I would advocate for is sensorial experiences. Women, I mean, we have five senses. I mean, I have a whole session around activating brain cues beyond visual, which is part of the winning communication workshop that I ran successfully, alhamdulillah, for the last 2 years. I only offer it now by demand. But a big section of it was a low hanging fruit for you guys as brand owners. Um, yes, we have five senses, and it has been proven by research that it makes a difference that you stimulate my senses as a human being. Smell is very strong, audio is very strong. I mean, I don't know about you, but let's take these audio links, and I can do a video, but you'll be distracted, believe it or not. Not because I'm a gorgeous woman, but there's so many things in that video that will distract you. Yeah. But when you are focusing on audio per se, you're just listening, and it comes in and connects with the brain faster than anything. Smell also is amazing. Touch, there's so many applications to that. So one of the things I do with my clients is that apart from your logo and colors, and maybe a word or two that you own as a strap line, I mean, if we're lucky, what else in your brand, when we dissect it, that we can take and build on it? Some stuff are no-brainers, and we know that, like the smell of bakery in a grocery store, for example, uh, the smell of citrus. Okay, that is also amazing. So the touch. Let's say you are a detergent or one of these softening brands that you use when you're washing your clothes. How about touching, putting on display a towel that was just washed by that brand, and get people to smell it and touch it and see the difference. It might sound weird, but you will be amazed of the difference. It's like, when the saying says, seeing is believing. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to touch that and I'm going to smell. And funny enough, one of the insights, I think it was P&G. What was it? I don't recall what the brand is. It's Downy, I think, their brand. Uh, and they had that insight. I saw it in an ad a year back, which is that the smell travels. So the kid is going to school, but he remembers the smell of his house and his mom, and it's like, a little junior going to kindergarten. But because she's using the same scent across all clothes, He feels that he is at home and is comfort for his school day because his uniform smells the same way. And I don't know about you, but on a personal level, that happens to me a lot. You can smell something that reminds you of your childhood. Yeah. It's these little things, while they are little, but is hugely impactful. The reason people don't use it as practitioners, that's what I realize now, is one, they're ignorant. They don't know it. They have not looked into places where they can grow their brands differently. And at the same time, there are no tools to measure that because the impact is on the subconscious. I mean, I cannot go in a brand health tracker and ask you one of the questions that you like that brand or you always buy it or whatever, and you tell me, oh, because when the last time I wore that blouse, it reminded me of the time I was with my boyfriend when I was younger. Nobody says that, but it is the truth. And sometimes consumers don't even know that was the case. They cannot articulate how they feel. Remember that very famous quote from David Ogilvy when he said, research is crap because you ask people about how they feel, but they only rationalize, and not because they're lying, but just they cannot articulate. So direct questioning is crap, and I totally believe in that. There are ways that you can dig deeper into the psyche. There are observations and so forth, and this is how you build insights. So in that respect, it is very important to design both your product, your communication, the way you place it in store when you are addressing women in a way that addresses their feelings and their psyche. But also be prepared to have a backlash if you go wrong, because women are very expressive and detailist. And now they have so many tools that they can express themselves. And it is the most powerful cycles and circles. All of these, WhatsApp groups and, community groups and whatever, they speak and they talk and they have a lot of experience. And this is absolutely across the board. This has nothing to do with a country, a language, an age. This is how women are constructed. In some countries, charity work, and I would say that with a bit of a disclaimer because some brands really abuse this whole charity thing. But in essence, I mean, if you feel your brand is a good brand, it's a kind brand, and this would go back to the archetype that you have chosen for your brand, and therefore all the activities that you've done, does it really build in that you are kind, you're the nurturer, you really care about society? This is not an ad. I mean, I recall I saw that ad for Subway. Of course, I can't remember the country, but it was about, part of the revenue we give each month to poor families or something like that. I might like that, I might believe that or not, I don't know. But if somebody, I like the work for Shabani, for example, they're the yogurt brand in the US. They have consistently shown kindness to society in different ways, and it has been consistent. So to me, as a customer, I really like them, and I mean, if everything is in parity when I'm picking up my yogurt in that fridge, I don't mind. I don't mind picking Chobani, on top of the other brands because there is something, an edge that had touched my heart. I want to know what these brands are doing good or not. But again, I tell you, I'm doing this with a disclaimer because, charity can really be abused over the years. So, these are like my key pointers on women as an observation if you're targeting them, but just give you some really huge numbers on that. 85% of women are the decision makers, either the purchasers or, as we explained earlier, around the difference between the decision maker and the influencer. I think there's a lot of value to understand more about how they are evolving. Give them solutions. They are busy women, they have so much to do, and they have so much aspirations. I mean, and this is again across the board, across regions, across SACs. I might not, let's say, as a mundane for a middle class to a lower class woman, that she has to cook every day an extensive meal for her family. But I'm sure deep inside she would like to have that, tea with her women buddies, neighbors, and chat and gossip. Yeah, a more higher class would like to spend some more time either educating herself about something or maybe working or whatever, but certainly not laboring 3 hours in the kitchen. There's so many gaps and opportunities for that segment. As much as there are opportunities, there are challenges. And the key is, as I always say, understand really deeply, not superficial, what women want. If I want to, get a bit of that movie, which is really a lovely movie, and there was a good plug in for Nike there, and was really spot on. I mean, if you recall the movie, it was not about uh, it's all about that moment, that running moment for myself where I don't have to dress up or put makeup or just release myself and be relaxed. It's me, my Nike shoes, and the road I'm running, and feeling good about myself. So I'll stop here, and I'm happy to take your questions, comments, bills if you feel the same way. There's a good show up today from lovely ladies. If you feel the same way as a woman, because we are both practitioners and we're customers as well. And yeah, just raise your hand and I'll put you on. Raju, good morning.
Good morning, Dahlia.
How are you today, sir?
Is all I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Today is Saudi National Day, so some of us are working the stores because it's the holiday. It's a Saturday, but just out in the stores. But I just stepped outside to hear this. Just a couple of points, very, very important, Dahlia. And what I notice the change is today's woman consumer, you need to empower her. If you go back, let's say 10 years ago, women were just used as, I mean, I don't want to be malicious, but they were just used as an object to maybe glamorize the spot or the communication. Today, I find that you empower the woman, and brands that have done that have emerged truly successful and empathic. I don't know if you've seen the spot for Tide called Share the Load.
Oh, wow. No, I think I missed that one. But yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
makes a lot of
it came
sense.
it came
Absolutely. Yeah.
it came out of the Indian markets,
Mm-hmm.
and India, like many other countries, has a very very strong role of women. As you rightly said, women call the shots there in very many societies. So this was done. It is called Share the Load. Very very empathic, and it really sums up the role of women today. So that's all what I want to add. Where we notice, 8, 10, 12 years ago, Dahlia, women were just
Mm-hmm.
used
Mm-hmm.
as an object to glorify, whether it's the kitchen or anything else. But today I'm finding ads that have a purpose and empower women inherently to the brand's core come out with flying colors. We have started that using in our brands, and we notice the change.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'm fully aligned with you, and I would urge them not to just show the woman as an object, but inherently rope her in as a direct beneficiary and empathize with her. That's all, Dalia.
I love that build because you remind me with a couple of examples. For starters, actually, I used to work on Cadbury in India, so I do know the community very well. A couple of years back, there is this ad by Ogilvy India. I think they got an award for it, and it was for Uber. And it was about empowering women because they are the main brain breadwinner, and there is a lot of harassment, there is a lot of lack of security, and they have to commute from one part to the other all through the day because they have multiple jobs to make ends meet. So it was all around, we're supporting you, we are safe, even if that Uber is really a tuk-tuk, kind of. But yeah, the message was so powerful, it really hit home. And another example was the infamous Fair and Lovely, where they had actually to change the name of the brand to Glow and Lovely. This was like an amazing one, because it was all about you cannot get that job. I mean, the Middle East Virgin, I recall that was like well, yeah, 4 years back, I would think, is around you need to have a fair complexion so you can get that job interview, or you're going to university or whatever, which in today's context is really total crap. Yeah. So it is no longer the case, and that's why I was advocating earlier. I don't know if you heard the first part of the talk. I was talking about the purchase cycle and how the decision making now is not only influenced but is done by the woman in categories that used historically to be only male driven, like air conditioning, for example, or health insurance. They have money, they are empowered, and so forth. So thank you for bringing that Tide example, and it's spot on. Thank you, sir. Guys, any input, questions? Tell me. Mariam, please go ahead.
Good morning.
Morning.
First of all, thank you so much for the very in-depth, or may I say, it's very informative discussion. I really feel that it's like an eye-opener to a lot of aspects I've never thought about before. So thank you so much. This is first of all.
Fantastic.
Second of all, I really want to know, or I work in brand strategy, okay? I do brand strategies all the time, but I feel like when I creating a brand strategy for a women-driven brand or something, I feel like I become repetitive in a way. It's like when you always market to women or create brands that are towards women, it's always um, يعني it's always giving the same vibes at the end of the day. So if it's a clothing brand, so be comfortable, be confident, be beautiful, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's for example, it's something for cookware or anything, it's like, oh, the kitchen is your kingdom, blah blah blah. And I'm sure that women are, me myself, I'm tired of
Hmm.
hearing that all of the time. So I want to know, how can I each time curate a brand strategy that really hits the spot for women,
Hmm.
and they don't feel like every time it's like repetitive in a way. Thank you.
Well, you touch on. I mean, I assume you are working in Egypt. We have huge issues, and the understanding between a strategy and communication is a little bit, fuzzy and confused. uh, Activating on functional levels, it's absolutely fine, like the stuff you said. But what is the bigger picture? Because you need some in-depth understanding of these women. I mean, it's one with initially I had this talk because of that very reason. Because as you rightfully said, I see all of these communication all over the place around. Yeah, the kitchen is your kingdom, and this is about comfort, this is about whatever. So if you're talking about clothes, for example, that texture on your body skin, what does it make you feel? This is the kind of level of articulation and depth brand people need to go to. But whether on a strategic level or communication agency or client, I find that most practitioners would take it the easy way, and I would really honestly blame agencies because they're not creative anymore. They don't do the homework anymore. And if they're getting a crappy brief from the client with no details, there is a huge section in the creative brief, guys, that articulates what is the pain point of that customer. Is it functional? Absolutely fine. We're going to solve it for you. But then what is the end game, the gratification? How is it going to make you feel? And then the wording as well, which comes to communication and creative. We're just using the same words all over and over again. And you know what? This is total money in the bin. It has been proven by all post advertising testing that the brain is cluttered. They cannot differentiate one brand from the other, and you are forcing them to be functional. And therefore, when things go not so well as the situation in Egypt in terms of economy, and you want to price up, you can't, because there is no emotional connection. You have not reached that space whereby you are value, you are not a price point. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you so much.
Nina, please go ahead. Unmute yourself. Nina. Oh, Nina, you still want to ask a question? Oh, cool, you're back again. uh Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Wonderful. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, fine.
Good. Thank you first of all for. I didn't know this podcast. I just found this. So thank you. This is a new find for me. So it was interesting to sort of hear brand and about sort of some of the topics that you touched upon. So I live in the Gulf. I'm from the UK. So I resonated with some of those flake examples that you were sort of giving. And yes, there was a real sort of, it was marketed towards, and I grew up in the 80s in the UK. So real fan of some of the stuff that, and resonated with a lot of the stuff that you were saying. I don't work in brand, but I listen to all sorts of things. I'm an occupational psychologist. I have a very boutique headhunting company that I set up from scratch about 5 years ago. I only employ women, and I employ Arab women usually, or ones that speak at least one or two languages. And we were having this discussion on an offsite actually, and it's quite interesting because I listened to a whole bunch of stuff, whether it be popular psychology, brand, women in tech, etc., etc. And one of the things that we were sort of saying, and we're all women that have had children, and kids are off now, they're off at college, and thank God they're doing something useful with themselves, the boys especially. But one of the things that we were sort of talking about when it came to brands was this whole thing of nostalgia and the journey that a woman goes on. So actually, when you're sort of you grow up and you're sort of still finding your feet, you have a very different sort of interaction with the brand. But I think that fundamentally, and I can speak about myself, is that I still want, from a clothing perspective, I still want to feel beautiful. I still want to feel feminine, but I do want convenience because I'm on a flight most weeks. I'm with boards, I'm with clients, etc. So I don't necessarily have the time to go shopping or go to a supermarket. So I think the convenience is one thing that women look for as we play multiple roles, not just as a homemaker, but we are still homemakers. If you ask most women, we still have a feeling of empowerment when we're not just doing our jobs, but we're decorating our homes. So I think from that perspective, we still want things that are beautiful, things that are feminine, but we also want the convenience and the speed and the choice. And I think this is where brands perhaps, it's either one or the other. It's either it's very feminine and therefore it takes a lot of time, right? So if you want to if I want to go to a boutique to buy something, I've got to go, and it's going to take me time. Or if I want to get my nails done, it's going to take me time, because that's a feminine thing. It's a beautiful thing, and it will take time. But if I want to buy groceries, that's really easy because I've got an app and I can do that. But I don't have the choice necessarily when I'm buying groceries. So I think it's almost that sort of trade off. And just because women want choice, and they want choice, and it doesn't mean that they want to play the male role. And I think that's where a lot of brands are a little confused. And I think partly the subtext or the context of that, the dialogue around men and women being equal, etc., it does come into brands and things. But I think that women still want to feel feminine. So that's my sort of two pence worth, I suppose, on your your talk today. But thank you. That was interesting, and it did make me smile. So thank you.
Well, thank you indeed for that build, Nina. I really enjoyed myself, and I can resonate with your lifestyle at this age. I Let me reflect on what you said in many ways. Uh, One of the things, for example, and that's the beauty of landing an insight, is because I worked on global brands. So when we were repositioning Cadbury Dairy Milk globally, and at the time I was in Zurich with the global team, we did this huge exercise around the platform, and the platform is about joy and what's the meaning in joy and so forth. But we did not just go ahead and say, like, does chocolate make you feel happy when you eat it? No, that's crap. Yeah. But then understanding the psyche, and for a specific target that are 35 plus, what came out consistently around the world, yeah, is that they want two things. They want to feel appreciated. Yes. So it's not about bringing me a diamond ring in our anniversary. No, a pat on the shoulder and a smile. And the second thing is that they want to their children to be the best they can and better than them. And I think every mom in the world can resonate with that. It's just flashing it out, yeah. And as you said rightfully, there's a drill down after you do that depth understanding is the shopper missions. Yes, I am the same person, but I'm working, I'm traveling, I still cook at home for my kids, and maybe not. Yeah, but these moments, actual on the ground, you need to understand, which takes us to understanding women as shoppers. Yeah, I had given earlier the example of a convenience as in malls where they have everything. So on a Saturday, I can do the shopping, I can do my hair, I can put my kids to the fun thing, whatever, and maybe meet a quick friend for a coffee. Yes, we have a lot of stuff to do. So yeah, thank you so much, Nina, for that, and I hope we can connect. I might be in Dubai next month. We can do some stuff because psychology is a big part of marketing, and I think this is one of the things. And maybe to Miriam's earlier question, we don't give enough thought of what drives us. By the way, the male cohort is a different psyche. I'm just focusing on women because in terms of dollar money, they're bigger. But yeah, if I worked on male targets as well, and they have very interesting insights beyond what is old-fashionedly just slashed out in the media. Yeah, and that's the funny thing. Today we have so much tools of analytics. We're all over the place, but I don't think we're insightful enough. Yeah, maybe that's the drama of data. But yeah, thanks for that build. Um, Raju, you wanted to say something. You kept raising your hand. So questions, comments, builds. Raju, please.
Yes, Dalia. I was responding to your earlier comment, and I think Miriam's comment on stereotyping of the woman.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things is not just see, even at the marketing level, the brand has to systematically and precisely identify the woman as being the core target. Not
Mm-hmm.
just putting it there in the brief as we are, let's say, appealing to women. When you personify the brand, you have to put the woman at the forefront. I'll give you two quick examples. One is when I was with Unilever years ago in India, an iconic commercial of Surf called Lalita Ji, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a case study in itself where Lalita Ji was this typical woman, but she was a hard nosed bargain hunter like all women are, right? So the brand persona was we need not just woman as a shopper, but we need the woman. Here is this hard nosed, value driven bargain, a very astute woman, and she became an icon. And we used a character who was a very good actress as well, a stage actress.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very clear. More recently in this market, when we have a rehydrating drink, and it was aimed at health and fitness. And in the brand brief, we said we clearly want a woman fitness enthusiast. She has to be a woman. She has to value that, and we used an actual woman fitness enthusiast as a role model. Now, if this is not specified, you can't blame the agency all the time,
Mm-hmm.
Dalia. It has to emanate from the brand, and at times it takes a risk because, as you rightly said, the dollar or in terms of numbers, the male prospect or the male target bank may be larger. But that's where you need to take a call and say, no, I'll put my money on the woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put my money because that is empathy. So that's the only thing I wanted to guide at. So I believe marketing has to first take that call, supported by the leadership, and then you drive home that point to your agency. And for sure you will begin to see results. That's all, Dalia. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very insightful. And you take me back to my war games workshops. All of these strategy workshops where you have everybody and, we're trying to align targets. Who's your core, who are your spillover, who will you communicate to versus, long term innovation. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it all come down to the brief. The very first lesson I learned was from my ex-boss. I used to work in telecom in Orange, and we launched the operator that used to be called Mobinil in Egypt. And my boss was Australian, and she taught me a lot of what I know about research and insight and building brands at the time. And the first lesson she told me, rubbish in, rubbish out, which means if you have a crappy brief, don't expect the agency to come out all shiny and insightful and creative. So, thanks again, Raju, on that. And let's take Noura. Noura, go ahead.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Noura.
Thank you so much for a very insightful session. I'm a fan of yours and I find your content very informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear.
Um, do you think it's ethical that women are induced to spend more? For example, looking into the personal care category, a shampoo, for example, for a man, for a man that has as well a conditioner and a leave-in and everything would do the job. However, for women, it is a long line of products that you have to buy in order to get what you
Mm-hmm.
want.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about this ethically?
I don't know if you've actually seen a joke that I put up some time back. I was promoting my shopper workshop, and it actually had a male and a female. and then the guy was picking up a shampoo that, washes the hair, the face, the body, even dishes or something, and they don't mind using that. So, yeah, I hear you. And not only that, but if you think about even the same brand, so let's say, I'm just, I'm not sure the price point, but let's say Clear. Clear has both men and has both women. I'm sure they're priced differently. If you do price per liter analysis, it's probably that they are priced up. Now, ethical or not, marketing in general, there are some part of it that is a big question mark. And I think I highlighted that in some of my posts, because some stuff is absolutely not acceptable, especially in a society that most people are not so well educated, pushing consumerism, whether you want it or not. Young people who are just, want to be fancy and wannabes and want to have that Instagram photo versus whether they can afford it or not. You probably know how I feel about, the concept of a buy now, pay later. Definitely, I'm against that. So, to your point, it is a bit of a gray area. I think the example you gave, this is just the nature of women, because it's a function of the category. I always call it, there are low impact category and high impact category. So if you are buying pasta, it's not like you're buying a shampoo for your hair. Yeah.
Yes.
Hair, yeah, hair is part of your beauty. There is so much heritage in our culture, in the Middle East, in Asia, around the beauty of women and how hair is a big part of it. So, and given also the environment and the weather that we have in our region, yes, there are a need for solutions. Whether those solutions are commercially branded, or you go to a guy that does this whatever secret formula and you put on your hair and the hair changes into green or something, I don't know. But we have all of these things in our culture, and that's absolutely same thing for skincare. I mean, if you go to Morocco, and I've done a lot of work on skincare in Morocco, their rituals are just amazing. And it's across the board, whether they're high class, low class, it's inherited in their culture. So, yeah, I wouldn't say it's unethical, but it is needed. It's not like you're creating a need in the market. So I hope that answers your question. And keep following. Thank you for the kind words, Noura.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. Questions and comments and builds. Okay, good, good. So I'll wrap it up here, and thank you for listening. I'll see you next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Ciao, ciao.